Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, the men and women of the United States Air Force celebrate the last Doolittle Raider, Lieutenant Colonel Richard E. Dick Cole, on the occasion of his posthumous promotion to the grade of Colonel. The presiding officer for today's ceremony is the Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, General Charles Q. Brown, Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and the Cole family and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem. You may begin. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome General Brown.
Well, good morning. Jimmy Doolittle once said, nothing is as strong as the heart of a volunteer. And throughout our Air Force history, we've had airmen who volunteered for their service to their country despite insurmountable odds or the threat of the unknown. The Doolittle Raiders are a perfect example of volunteers with a strong heart and a strong sense of duty. It's an honor to be here today for this celebration, a celebration of accomplishments and a celebration of a life well lived. Thank you, Major Chaw, for the introduction and the opportunity to be here with you today. And really to the friends and family of Dick Cole, the last of our Doolittle Raiders. Thank you all for being here today. It's good to see some of you again and meet some of you for the first time. I also want to thank General Dave Goldfein, my predecessor, for his attendance today and having a chance to sit down with him this morning, but also laying out the groundwork for this particular ceremony, realizing that the intent was to come together a little while ago, but because COVID slowed down some things for us to come together, but I appreciate that we do have the opportunity to all be here today. I'm very grateful, I'm humbled, and I'm proud to be with you today. We often get caught up in the daily static of life, but we must never forget that we truly stand on the shoulders of giants. I'm forever grateful for the early aviators that paved the way for our nation and for our Air Force, for where we are today. You go back on the morning of 18 April 1942, there were 16 B-25s that launched from the USS Hornet, each carrying 5 aircrew and 4 special 500-pound bombs. They would fly 820 nautical miles with no fighter escort and arrive over Japan roughly about noon. After completing their mission over Japan, 15 of the aircraft would fly towards eastern China, and 1, extremely low on fuel, would end up in the Soviet Union. 72 of the original 80 Doolittle Raiders would survive that mission that was extremely hazardous. And although the mission was initially thought to be a tactical failure, it ended up being such a huge strategic success. Their raid proved to Japan and the world that air power could be delivered on Japanese soil. These men embodied service before self. I'm humbled today to be here as we promote Lieutenant Colonel Richard Dick Cole to Colonel on what would have been his 106th birthday. Dick Cole enlisted as an aviation cadet in the Army Air Forces on 22 November 1940, and he would commission and earn his pilot wings in July of 1941. His first assignment was as a bomber pilot with the 34th Bomber Squadron, the original Thunderbirds, a squadron that still exists today. Dick would later go on to be Jimmy Doolittle's co-pilot in the lead airplane on the infamous Doolittle Raider. This is important, not just because he was with Jimmy Doolittle, but because as a lead aircraft, they had the least amount of runway coming off the aircraft carrier to take off. A takeoff that neither of them or any other of the pilots that day had performed before that day on 18 April. And after the raid, he would say, hey, Dick would stay in China flying C-47 Skytrains, transporting supplies from Burma to China and over the dangerous Himalayas. He would then volunteer to Project 9, which was a birth of the Air Commandos. He would later serve in Wichita, Kansas as a plant representative and accepted test pilot. And finally, he would finish out his service in Victoriaville, California as the officer in charge of training. Now, when I was meeting with Cindy this morning, she mentioned that when her father enlisted in the Army Air Corps, the staff sergeant told him never volunteer for anything. And what she did say, he volunteered for just about everything he did. And I would say we're glad he did because of the rich heritage that your father brought to our Air Force as part of the Doolittle Raiders. Now, I would also say that Dick Cole lived a life and had a career that many of us would say was full of danger, but he was up to the task. He's truly a member of our greatest generation. And I'm proud to say that this heritage of volunteering to do what is right and answer the nation's call still lives with our airmen today. Now, we recently ended the longest war in our nation's history, but we also executed the largest airlift in our nation's history as well. And it's emblematic that most notably these airmen that we saw here just over the past several weeks, bringing over 124,000 people out of Afghanistan, were all volunteers as well. And it's the heritage from Dick Cole and the Doolittle Raiders and the sense of duty that we saw in these airmen, just like we saw back in 1942. I'm very proud to participate in a moment that honors our Air Force legacy, and I'm proud today that we can complete what was authorized by the 116th Congress in 2019 to posthumously promote Lieutenant Colonel Richard E. Cole, United States Air Force retired, to the grade of Colonel. In closing, I'm proud to be the 22nd Chief of Staff of the Air Force, the greatest Air Force in the world, and I'd say we're great today, not just because of where we are today, but because of airmen like Dick Cole. Air Force is the greatest in the world and the greatest in the history of the world. And I think it's my responsibility as the Chief of Staff of the Air Force to ensure that that continues well into the future, so that the Air Force can always live up to its mission to fly, fight, and win air power anytime, anywhere. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here today on this very special day and a day of remembrance. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we invite Dr. Rich Cole and Ms. Cindy Cole-Shaw to join General Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated as the General posthumously promotes Lieutenant Colonel Dick Cole to the grade of Colonel. Authority to issue an honorary and posthumous promotion to Lieutenant Colonel Richard Cole, United States Air Force retired, to the grade of Colonel, and pursuant to the Section 1563 of Title 10 United States Code, Lieutenant Colonel Richard E. Cole was posthumously promoted to the rank of Colonel effective 20 December 2019.